welcome back to the channel. This is the Action Figure Grader, and today's video is going to cover a wide range of vintage mint-on card Star Wars action figures. We've got everything from 1 or 2 early 12 and 20 backs all the way through the Ewoks line, as well as one Hungarian bootleg mint-on card that sold for a nice price. So tried to kind of mix it up a little bit, not focused only on tri-logos like I have been over the last couple of months. But some really nice deals here. Some sold for some really surprising prices. As is usually the case on eBay, you never know what's going to happen in some of these auctions, but I was shocked by, there was a tri-logo Anakin Skywalker. I cannot believe the final sales price, so you'll have to stick around for that. As always, please be sure to leave me a like if you enjoy my content, as it does help out with the YouTube algorithms. All right, we've got a 12-back A R2-D2 punched example, no price sticker, but it was graded AFA 80. Not the greatest photos in the world, but very, very nice example. 12-back A R2-D2, card 80, blister 80, figure 85. Beautiful crystal clear blister. Very nice example. That was in a buy it now for $2,500 plus $70 shipping. So big number on that one, but it was a beauty, very high grade, and probably in line with market. I don't know. I haven't seen a 12A R2-D2 sell in a while. I'm sure there was one in the last Hakes auction. Maybe it was a C. I think it was a 12-back C that sold, and that was significantly less, but obviously this is an earlier version, one of the earliest, with the exception of the SKU on the footer version of the 12-back A, but very nice. Next up was a 12A Princess Leia Organa from our friend Gold Star Tech. This one was a 75 plus, 80, 85, 75. So you can see that the 75 figure score brought the overall down to a 75 plus. As well as it should. I mean, if you look at the figure, it's clearly got some degradation going on the arms and the legs relative to the torso. Some pinkish hue going on. This is just degradation inside the blister, something we've talked about ad nauseum on the channel. Punched example with a price sticker in the upper right-hand corner. That one sold in an auction for $12.25. $12.25. Very good deal, I feel like, if you can live with the discoloration to the figure. It's unfortunate that it happened, but otherwise it certainly would have gotten the 80 score overall. Same seller also had this unpunched large head Han Solo. This was on a 20-back A, also graded AFA 75 plus. And this one was kind of the opposite of what happened with the Leia. We had an 85 for the blister score, 80 for the figure score, but the card score of 75 was enough to bring it down to a 75 plus. So there you go. Beautiful example, though, unpunched, and you know, some sticker residue in the upper left-hand corner there. A little bit of edge wear at the very top of the card. Maybe this had some kind of faint creases to it to cause it to get that 75 score. Pretty harsh scoring, if you ask me. Presents a lot nicer than a 75 plus overall. And it was kind of miscut. You can see some light scuffing and discoloration on the back. So maybe it is appropriately scored if you look at the discoloration there on the right-hand side on the racetrack. So still a nice example, though. $977. That's a pretty good deal. That's a pretty fair deal if you ask me. And this one is one that one of my Patreon supporters was bidding on, and it just went too high for him, and I don't blame him. I think it went a little higher than even I expected. This was a punched 41-back A survival kit offer for 21B medical droid, AFA 80. And, you know, a punched example, I was thinking probably 750. That would have been kind of my top-end number. And I'm not saying that mine is comparable to this, but I have a 48-back, I think, C for the 21B medical droid. That's an AFA 80 plus. And I think all in on mine, I've got about 750 in it, maybe a little less. I can't remember. And so that would be kind of my number, you know, somewhere in that ballpark. And this one ended up going for 729 pounds, which is 924 US dollars. So just kind of went a little bit more than I was expecting, but it certainly was a very nice example. 80, 85, 85 were the sub scores on that one. Here was an AFA 85 Also on the 41A for the Stormtrooper, beautiful example. Stormtrooper still nice and white, crystal clear blister, punched with a Thrifty Drugs price sticker in the upper right-hand corner. That one sold for $1,200. Big number there. And that's something we've talked about in recent videos, are that ESB Stormtroopers mint on card, high grade, you're going to pay a big number. That's just the way it is. You could almost put it on par with earlier card backs like the 20 backs and 21 backs with where prices have gotten for ESB Stormtroopers that are in very high grade. Next up, we had the debut card for Luke Skywalker in his Hoth battle gear. This one did have some issues. You can see some creases around the hang tab as well as on the other and one side of the card there. And it was unpunched, but again, it was probably at best a 75 score. You can see the creases there. Excuse my voice again. Price sticker in the upper right-hand corner. But crystal clear blister, very nice, kind of budget-friendly example. That's about as cheap as you're going to find for a Luke Skywalker in his Hoth battle gear. I don't know if there is color touch-up on that or if it's just catching it in the right light. But it's possible that it's got some color touch-up there to it. I would just have to have it in hand to know for sure. But still, at $365, that's probably about where it would go anyway. You're basically getting it at rock bottom dollar for a clear blister debut card Luke Hoth at $365. Now, this is one you got to be careful on. This seller did not disclose that this was a Toy Tony. This is a Palatoy 65 back Hoth Stormtrooper, one of the most numerous Toy Tonys that are out there. And this was graded AFA 90. So that should raise your alarm bells. If you see any Palatoy card back that has a very high grade, like an AFA 85 or a 90, you need to double check it against Mr. Palatoy's card back guide online, because it gives you the numbers and the character for each Toy Tony known to exist. And this is one of the more numerous ones. And I'm not saying that $750 isn't what it would sell for, even if he had disclosed it was a Toy Tony, because I do see them sell in this price range where, even on Facebook, where it's fully disclosed, hey, this is definitely a Toy Tony. And on Facebook, people know. I mean, you have a little bit more sophisticated collector that tends to buy on Facebook, because they're just, most of those guys that are big time collectors, they don't even check eBay, in my opinion. 85, 90, 90. I mean, this is definitely a Toy Tony, but still, it's really nice. It's a Stormtrooper, Hoth Stormtrooper. It would probably go for close to this price, if not above it. I've bought some graded Toy Tonys, like the General Mills Bosk, the German General Mills Bosk. I bought one, and I don't remember what I paid for it, but probably in that $600 ballpark after shipping and taxes, or shipping anyway. I bought mine on Facebook. But $750, it's a little high, probably. I mean, I think on Facebook it probably would still fetch $600 to $650. So I don't think it was a terrible buy, but I just hope that whoever did buy it knows that this is not a legitimate item. This is a Toy Tony AFA 90, but I wanted to point that out because the seller certainly did not. On to some tri-logos. I didn't include a lot, but here was yet another hybrid tri-logo Snaggletooth graded AFA 75. That one sold in an auction for $409, and probably about right. I mean, it was $429. With shipping, it was about $435 plus taxes. That gets you pretty close to what I paid for my AFA 80. So you could make an argument that this is probably a little high, given that this is an AFA 75. But it's within realm. It's within reason. There was another AFA 80 that CIB sold for this exact same item that sold for $800 plus, $830, whatever the number was. So this is much more in keeping with the example I bought on Hakes. And I apologize, guys. My voice is terrible right now. Here was an AFA 80 tri-logo Imperial Dignitary. No 1 pound 59 pence price sticker on this one either. Unpunched. And it also was a Clipper catalog. So very, very nice example. Here's the AFA label. This label did mention Clipper offer on the back there. 80, 75, 85 for an overall 80 from AFA. Not sure why it got the 75 on the blister. The blister at first blush looks really nice. It does look like it's got a big ding, though, in the upper left-hand corner. So it was kind of hidden there. But the rest of the blister was very nice. Probably deserves the overall 80, so I can see why they rounded up on this one. The card was pretty immaculate, and for the most part, the blister was very clean. It just had a big ding in the upper left-hand corner. So anyway, that one did sell at $450. Here was a UKG 85 EV99 unpunched that sold at auction for 590 pounds, which is 750 US dollars. That's a very attractive price point relative to the AFA. I forgot what it was. It was an AFA 90 that CIB sold, but that one was a yellowed blister. And I can't tell on this one if it is or not. It looks like it potentially could be slightly yellowed, but my gut says that this is a clear blister. So this was a better deal. It could be starting to turn, though. If you look at on the name pill there, it's faint, but it looks like it might have a little bit of yellowing there, but it just could be shadows there. The rest of the blister looks very clean, though, so I tend to think that this is a clear blister, and it was labeled as such by UKG. But that's a good deal there at 750 US dollars. He also, interestingly, had two different Yodas. Both of them were brown snake, which is the most common. The orange snake Yodas on the tri-logos are very tough to find. But he had a UKG 80 and he had an AFA 85. And they sold at different times. But interestingly, the AFA 85 was unpunched and sold for $1,033. And then the UKG 80, so a lower grade, sold for $1,003 as well. So what are the odds on that they sold for almost the exact same price? And part of it is currency conversion, because this one sold for 791 pounds. This one sold for 815 pounds. They also did have different blisters. The blister on this one had yellowed and had yellowed since grading, which does happen with Yodas for some reason. That one had kind of a different style blister than this one. This one had kind of a slanted, thinner blister. Could be a Meccano blister, I don't know. But just two interesting data points where the grades were different. The UKG 80 was punched versus the AFA 80 that was unpunched. But again, it was slightly yellowed on that too, it looks like. But anyway, just two different sales from the same seller at different times. Here was the big one, though, that I alluded to at the beginning of this video. This was an AFA 85 Anakin Skywalker, $1,213. That is a huge number for a punched Anakin Skywalker. Crazy, crazy price on that one. That one just sold on December 16th. But wow, look at that. Straight 85s. But man, $1,213 was the final sales price on that. So anyway, Tri-Logos continue to chug along at big prices, and that's all I really had for Tri-Logos. So let's dig into some of these others. I thought this was a pretty good deal. This looks like a crystal clear blister 77 back Gamorrean Guard. This was not a made in Mexico. This was a straight U.S. Kenner card, and 77 back A, unpunched, no price sticker, although it had a little bit of sticker residue in the upper right-hand corner. $162.50. Pretty good deal there. Pretty good deal for a tough-to-find clear blister, or clear-ish anyway. It might be starting to yellow slightly, but that's about as clear as you're going to get for a U.S. Kenner card 77 back Gamorrean Guard. Next up was another clear blister 77 back Chewbacca. So same seller had two beauties. This was unpunched, and this one also had obviously the alternate image Rockstar Chewbacca. So very, very nice. That one sold for $372. Which I thought was a fantastic deal as well. Two tough ones to find with clear or clear-ish blisters. Next up was a yellowed blister, coin offer Darth Vader 77 back, unpunched with a Montgomery Ward price sticker, graded AFA 80 archival case. That one sold for $396, another very fair price relative to some that we've seen recently sell. It was just, fairly light yellowing, not too bad. And you can see there the AFA label does say coin offer AFA 80 yellow blister. So not a bad deal at $396. On to one last 77 back A. This was from Toy Scout. This was graded CAS 80 for Ben Obi-Wan Kenobi. Punched example with a price sticker, $326 on that one. And then the same seller also had some Power of the Force figures. They had a General Lando punched example graded CAS 75 plus that sold for $296. That's about as cheap as you're going to get there. And we had a CAS 80 plus Luke Skywalker in his battle poncho. That one sold for $338. What a cheap price for a mint on card, high grade, last 17 Luke. 80, 85, 85 were the prices on those. So very good, or was the subscores on that. And then he had a Han Solo in carbonite mint on card, graded CAS 75 plus. That one sold for $450. So all of those sold for very good deals. We had one Ewoks mint on card. I think I sent this out to my Patreon supporters, and I think one of them did pick it up. This was a Made in Mexico Lily Letty low gray, and these tend to be very expensive and high grade. This one did have some light creases to it, and you know, I thought it was a pretty fair deal at $300. And higher grade, I've seen these go for quite a bit more money, but the blister looked really good on this one, and these were made in Mexico, as you can see on the back of the card, by the proof of purchase, figure made in Mexico. It's got kind of that matte finish, which does tend to happen for a lot of the made in Mexico for the U.S. market. That even happened on a lot of, you know, standard Kenner cards for the more standard characters. But very nice example for $300. I thought that was a very fair price. And then finally, we had one bootleg mint on card. This is the Biker Scout Hungarian bootleg. This looked every bit authentic to me. And it did have a cracked blister that you can see there. So it wasn't perfect, but, you know, these are very tough to find in such clean condition. I thought it was about as clean as it gets. Well, maybe it wasn't cracked. It was just kind of lipping at the very top there. It might be cracked at the very top there. It's hard to tell, but it doesn't matter, really. I mean, this is just a very rare item, very sought-after item. This is the Biker Scout Hungarian bootleg. These were made in kind of like 1988-ish, 87, somewhere in that ballpark. And that one did sell for $1,035 on 61 bids. So big number on that. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this look at recent sales for vintage mint on card action figures. Thank you for bearing with me as I try to clear out this yuck that my daughter gave me. I hope you're doing well. Thanks again for watching, and I'll be back soon.